Money can't buy happiness, but it can buy a Porsche. And you're going to need a serious amount of it to own one of their race-spec models. In this video, Matt Armstrong is doing a cross-continental rebuild of one of the most emotionally charged cars ever made, the 2022 Porsche 911 GT3. A German masterpiece in a state of emergency. And as always, make sure you're subscribed to Aboyos before we get into it. Let's go! How did we get here? Let's rewind. The original owner of this car is an American YouTuber named Adam, a guy who lives and breathes cars. He spec'd this GT3 in a stunning custom purple that cost an extra $12,000 on its own. He took it to a Porsche owner's meet, and on the way, a collision with an SUV on the road. Doesn't matter whose fault it was. The damage was real, and the car was beautiful. After thinking it through, Adam decided to take the insurance payout and walk away completely. The car went to Copart auction, and Matt Armstrong immediately saw it as the ultimate YouTube rebuild project. There was one catch. To bid on Copart, you need a licensed dealer account. Matt called in a favor from his friend Tavares, who had an account with Copart's broker. Tavares bid on the car and secured it for $160,000. Only 4,000 kilometers on the clock. 7 months of ownership before the crash. What is the 911 GT3? The GT3 name has been part of Porsche's lineup since 1999. It's named after a specific racing class, and one of the conditions for competing in GT3 racing is that manufacturers must produce a limited number of road-legal versions that mirror the race car's design. So what you're looking at is essentially a road-legal race car. The differences between this and the actual track version include the transmission, sequential on the race car, plus the road version gets air conditioning, a sound system, and interior insulation. But the bones are the same. The chassis is steel, but every body panel is aluminum and carbon fiber. Power comes from a naturally aspirated flat-six, 4.0 liters, 510 horsepower, 470 Newton-meters of torque. 0 to 100 in 3.4 seconds. And remember, this is a race car that happens to have a license plate. 3 words, nothing wrong with it. The problem in the US is parts availability. Porsche GT3 components are scarce, and when you find them, they're expensive and take forever to arrive. But Matt has a plan. He's flying to America with his team to do the rebuild on location at Tavares' garage, because shipping the car to England would cost a fortune. Follow along to the end to see how this one plays out. He orders every part he's confident will need replacing, packs them all into one massive box, and checks it onto the plane like oversized luggage. First time Matt Armstrong has ever been to America. First, look at the damage. Matt arrives at Tavares' garage. The car is there waiting. He walks around it. The front bumper did exactly what it was designed to do, absorbed the impact and destroyed itself. The crash bar is bent, but not catastrophically. The radiator is disconnected but looks intact. Headlight housing cracked. One rim bent and cracked from the inside. Every airbag in the car has deployed. Seatbelt pretensioner has fired. There's a slight scratch on the carbon fiber bonnet. But what's hiding underneath will be much worse. Front trunk area has a few broken pieces. The interior is clearly tight after the impact. He tries to start the engine. Clutch in, key turned to the left. It cranks but won't fire on the first try. A few attempts later, he hears the unmistakable clicking of the starter motor turning the engine, but it won't fire. He connects the OBD scanner. Most likely culprit, the pyrofuse, the safety fuse that cuts electrical power to the engine after a crash. This is a feature on every modern performance car, protecting the most valuable component after an accident. On a Porsche 911, the battery is in the front trunk, but the pyrofuse is buried under the dashboard with no dedicated access panel. The problem is that on the 911, getting near the engine is nearly impossible without removing half the car. Matt starts thinking of a workaround, his alternative plan: push start the car. Front wheels lifted onto dollies, rear wheels on the ground, pushed into the garage, and with enough rolling speed, he pops it into gear. The engine fires first time. Stripping the interior. Now that the engine is confirmed alive, Matt immediately starts pulling the dashboard to replace the blown pyrofuse. Carbon fiber seats out first. The roll cage, standard on the GT3, is bolted to the floor in 4 places. He removes the mounting bolts from below, lifts the roll cage out, then removes the rear roof lining. The large plastic side panel comes off next, revealing the seatbelt pretensioner motor. He disconnects both electrical connectors and removes the unit. He finds the curtain airbag cylinder running along the entire roof perimeter. Every mounting bolt along its track gets removed, followed by the locking clips across the roof width, then the dashboard. He pulls the steering wheel and its airbag, removes the covers from the steering column, pulls the column along with the control stalks. Every clip, every hidden screw. The instrument cluster comes out, the center infotainment screen. Then the leather dashboard surface starts to lift. With everything stripped, the issue becomes clear. The center console is bolted to the aluminum frame at the front and isn't designed to be removed after factory assembly. He uses a cut-off disc to slice through the metal surface, carefully, then discovers a dedicated removal point from under the bonnet rather than from inside the cabin. He pulls the frame out from the engine side access point, finds the dense wiring runs, removes the heater box containing a small radiator that routes warm engine coolant for cabin heating, completely different from an air conditioning evaporator. And finally, behind all of that, the hidden internal fuse box. The pyrofuse itself is a large, specialized fuse, completely different in design from a standard mini fuse. 10 times the rated current. It doesn't blow passively. Instead, at the moment of impact, the car's computer sends a charge to a tiny pyrotechnic charge above the metal strip, which physically breaks the conductor and cuts all power instantly. Same technology found in electric vehicles. It's blown. That's what's been preventing the engine from starting with the key. Parts sourcing. The creative solution. The pyrofuse from Porsche directly costs $380, because Porsche only sells the entire fuse assembly, not the fuse alone. But here's the thing. The same component, same specs is used across the Volkswagen Group. And since Porsche is part of VW Group, the same part appears on eBay from third-party suppliers for $18. Matt orders it immediately. While he waits, legendary British car YouTuber Shmee150 happens to be passing through and stops by the garage. He helps Matt install the new fuse. It goes in, starter wiring reconnected, secured from both sides. Interior reassembly. The fuse box cover goes back on. The heater unit is reattached to its coolant lines. The aluminum frame gets reinserted, wiring runs routed back into place, the frame secured from the side. Carbon fiber trim reinstalled around the edges. Alcantara pieces trimmed and fitted. Dashboard panel reseated from underneath. The steering wheel goes back on, temporarily without the airbag for now. Battery reconnected. Power throughout the car confirmed. Engine fires. Yes. The hard part of the interior is done. Chassis repair. The hard work begins. The front subframe took a direct hit. To properly assess and repair it, everything needs to come off first. He removes the destroyed front fender, mounting bolts from below, works along the entire panel, detaches the bonnet. One bolt is hidden behind the bonnet hinge bracket, and gets the fender out. Headlight disconnected. Brake disc removed. All front suspension linkages disconnected. He spots a broken bolt hole in the subframe. And inside the subframe itself, the metal has separated. The surrounding area has crumpled. Every component in this area is aluminum, so heat welding isn't an option. What holds it all together is a pattern of rivets. Hundreds of them. The Porsche dealer in the surrounding states doesn't stock subframe components, so Matt smuggles a full parts order, $18,000 worth of Porsche components, packed into one giant box on the plane, carried as checked luggage. Among the parts, a complete new front subframe floor panel. He starts removing the damaged sections. Heat applied to the sealing compound, the entire layer lifted from its position. Same process at the front edges and sides. The old sealant stripped away with a scraper. Then comes the most exhausting step: drilling out every single rivet. The drill bit size is 6.5 millimeters, just over half a centimeter. The rivets are hardened steel. They destroy drill bits. A full day of continuous drilling. He buys multiple replacement bit sets when his originals wear out immediately. He puts on ear protection and goes again. When every rivet hole is cleared, he starts separating the layers, applies heat, uses a pneumatic metal chisel to work between the panels, cuts through sections with an air-powered metal saw, piece by piece. Rivet access from inside the tub is the hardest part. Finally, the last section cut. Matt's dad flies in. This job needs someone who knows exactly how a tub like this goes together. Matt calls in the ultimate reinforcement. His dad, flying in from England. The man who makes every impossible rebuild possible. He brings extra parts, including a replacement headlight. $2,000. They pull the broken door hinge and get the door out of the way. Matt bought a spare front quarter panel as insurance. He probably won't need it, but he'll take the steel front frame piece from it to repair the buckled section at the nose. He heats the chisel and carefully opens the buckled area, curious to check whether there's internal chassis damage behind it. He grinds down all the edges, removes the old rivets from the frame, separates the two layers with a pry bar, and pulls the damaged frame section out completely. Behind it, the structure is clean. No deformation behind the impact zone. The crash absorbed into the designed crush zones exactly as intended. That saves enormous time and effort. He pulls the bent section back toward its original position using a chain attached to a heat-exposed anchor point, applying slow, steady tension. It moves. The front section returns close to its original geometry. The new steel frame piece from the spare quarter panel goes in at the front of the sill opening. Fitment is perfect. New floor panel installation. He positions the new front tub floor panel, clamps it from above using a large press to keep everything aligned, and drills new rivet holes perpendicular to the original positions. Progress through the new panel installation is remarkably fast. All new holes drilled, rivets loaded. Before final installation, he takes the panel back out to apply adhesive sealant around every edge, noting the original adhesive pattern and matching it with the sealant gun. It cures in under an hour. Panel goes back in, tapped down firmly from every angle. New rivets set with the pneumatic rivet gun. The electric version is far faster than the manual tool from the old BMW M5 build. Every rivet locked into final position. The new tub floor is in. The hardest stage of this entire build, done. Back to the door area. Anti-corrosion spray applied to all edges. Sealant adhesive run around the triangular frame mounting position. The frame piece seated and riveted from every angle. Then, the whole tub exterior gets sprayed with matching Porsche purple primer, followed by underbody sealant applied in careful, consistent strokes, using a guide tape to keep it even. The result is better than any car they've done before. A full color-matched coat sprayed over the new sections. Multiple passes from every angle. The front subframe tub looks factory original. Front end rebuilding. The crash bar goes back in. Bolted down. The side radiator on the impact side is destroyed, along with its mounting bracket. Matt orders a complete new radiator assembly with the fan. The battery has been sitting dead for months. No charge for 2 months during the US trip. Lithium-ion batteries are a completely different technology from the lead-acid batteries in regular cars. Regular batteries use lead plates in sulfuric acid. Lithium-ion are clusters of individual cells, the same type that power your phone and every electric car on the road. 3 key differences. Weight. Standard battery averages 18 kilograms. Lithium-ion averages 5 kilograms. Lifespan. Standard 3 years. lithium-ion up to 10 years with consistent charging. And price. The Porsche GT3's lithium-ion battery costs $2,900. The BMW M5 battery in a previous build cost $2,500. Same world. He leaves it on charge overnight, still reading 0 volts. He connects it in parallel with a healthy donor battery and charges both simultaneously. The voltage climbs to 13 volts. Perfect. Battery reinstalled at the front of the car behind the tub. He checks the horn. It was working before he started, now completely dead. He'll sort that later. Engine starts. Front suspension rebuild. Matt buys a used front subframe for $340, a solid aluminum plate. Pulls the damaged unit from the old suspension assembly. 6 bolts holding a metal bracket around the new piece. He only needs the plate itself. Transfers the mounting bolts across. Flips the entire hub assembly over and fits it to the car. He installs the suspension arms and dampers on the left side only for now. From underneath, he torques the subframe bolts into the tub. Cooling lines that run under the car back toward the engine and radiators get reconnected. Left side, front end assembled. Steering rack inner tie rod installed. The front disc goes on, the enormous ceramic brake disc, followed by the caliper. Double wishbone suspension. First time Porsche used this design on the GT3. Previous models used traditional McPherson struts. Double wishbone gives superior handling control for a fast car, but it's more complex. Lower arm consists of 2 sections, the main arm and a secondary link connecting to the subframe. Outer tie rod installed, connects to the upright and the wheel itself. Anti-roll bar drop link at the bottom, new damper purchased to replace the destroyed original. The spring setup here is interesting, a short but thick primary coil with a softer secondary spring on top. Comes from Porsche with adjustable ride height collars. He installs the damper into the upper mount, connects it to the lower wishbone from below. All aluminum suspension components. Upper arm installed. $430 for that arm alone. New upright knuckle fitted. A huge complex piece that looks like nothing on any other car. Light, strong, and completely unique to the 911 GT3. All bolts torqued. New suspension geometry complete. He drops the ride height slightly. It'll need a proper alignment after this anyway. Then, the big purchase. A used carbon ceramic brake disc for $3,800. That's actually a deal. Porsche's official price is $7,000. The drilled and slotted rotor goes onto the hub. All suspension components confirmed, installed, and better than original.
Fresh brake fluid in, all 4 brake lines bled. Pedal starts getting firmer. The crash side rim is completely destroyed, cracked badly on the inside. He orders a new forged aluminum wheel from HRE in the USA for $6,000. Forged aluminum, 1 solid piece, incredibly strong. Expensive, yes. But the GT3's entire identity is chasing maximum performance regardless of cost. Broken rim out, new HRE wheel on, coolant system, car lowered to the ground, fresh coolant needs to go in. Matt uses a vacuum fill tool, a device with plastic tubing that uses compressed air to pull coolant through the system without trapping air bubbles. It works beautifully. He tries to start the engine, temperature climbs too high, too fast. Over 115 degrees, he shuts it down immediately. The coolant isn't circulating properly. He calls a contact at a Porsche dealership. The advice, the vacuum fill process needs more than 30 minutes on this car. He fully drains the system and repeats the process from scratch, this time waiting the full duration. Engine restarted after an hour. Warm air starts coming from the cabin heater vents, a perfect sign that coolant has reached the heating radiator. Temperature climbs to normal operating range, 100 degrees Celsius, and stabilizes, but the bonnet won't open. Some kind of sensor-related lock. He puts both doors back on. There must be a door position sensor triggering the lock. With the doors on, the bonnet opens normally. He installs all the exterior body panels, replaces the protective film on the paint, and touches up minor cracks in the sill trim area. Paint. The car goes outside. He sands the entire body, applies primer to every new section, and starts spraying the full car in matching Porsche purple, the same custom color the original owner specified. Bumpers, fenders, detachable body panels, all sprayed separately. The color is genuinely stunning. He flies back to England briefly to source the final parts needed, then returns. The level of commitment, England and America treated like the same street, is something else. But this car earns it. Airbags and final interior, 6 new airbags ordered. Driver's airbag installed first, wiring connected, steering wheel lock, which had been moving excessively, tightened. The lateral curtain airbags wrapped and fitted around the entire roof edge. Rear pillar trim over the top, headliner reinstalled. Knee airbags installed from underneath the dashboard on both sides. Both seats reinstalled. Carbon fiber backs with an incredible design. Some final welding in the tub area, then the whole underbody area is treated outside the garage. Primer sprayed on all the new drill holes. Masking tape creates clean guidelines, and underbody sealant is applied in consistent directional strokes. Better finish than every previous build. Matching purple sprayed over the sealant areas, multiple coats from every angle. The result, the underbody looks like it left the factory this morning. Crash bar installed at the front. Damaged radiator on the impact side replaced with the new assembly, including the fan. The door side radiator cap replaced. New coolant in. Horn fix. Finally. The horn has been dead the whole build. He tries a connector replacement, no contact with the metal ring. He repairs the severed wiring on the connector, tries again. Still nothing. He finds a small metal piece sitting on top of the horn's frame that was stopping contact, removes it. Horn works. Steering wheel center is now tight and locked. Rear glass reinstalled with 2 internal mounting bolts. Seatbelt pre-tensioner motor back in its housing. Belt retracted to its upper position. Large rear plastic trim panel fitted covering the complete side. Rear seat area carpeted. Pillar trims on. Roll cage reinstalled and bolted to the floor in all 4 positions. Then the carbon fiber seats, Porsche. Carbon fiber pricing is always astronomical. Final fault code scan. A small handful remain, most clear on their own. A BS wheel speed sensor fault showing an impossibly high speed reading while the car is stationary. He checks wiring to the ABS sensors on both sides, finds one wire completely severed, repairs it, code clears, only the tire pressure sensor remains. Wheel installation, wheels on, center lock bolts torqued with the impact gun, and honestly, the gold satin finish of the HRE wheels against that purple body and the GT3's specific wheel design, stunning. Door trim reinstalled after the paint, door handle on the outside, mirror on the top, rubber seal around the doorframe aperture, interior door card fitted, interior is finished, he's not touching it again. Rear bumper on, number plate area fitted, camera wiring routed, tail light bar installed across the full width and connected, works perfectly, final upper piece. Then the engine cover has to go in before the fixed rear wing can be fitted. Right side fuel filler cap locked.
Engine access port on the left, and on top of everything, the enormous rear wing. Inner wheel arch liners installed. Sill covers fitted from the side and underneath. Air guide panel fitted at the front of the repaired sill section. Every bolt torqued to spec. Air deflector for the radiator reinstalled. He finds a loose wire, realizes it's for an optional track camera mount in the front bumper, a feature this car wasn't optioned with. New front bumper purchased, pre-painted, simple mesh fitted at the front, sealed from every angle, collision sensor connected, fender lined with fresh weather stripping, washer fluid reservoir mounted and the line routed through the bonnet to the nozzles. Front headlights installed and mounted in the carrier. The old and new units, all electronics swapped between them. New fender fitted, headlights tested, both working perfectly. All pieces locked to the bumper. Rain deflector and wiper jet cover closed. Full bonnet assembly with all plastic trim. And finally, the front bumper lifted into its final position. Turn signal modules installed. The GT3's signature front splitter fitted. And last, The gold Porsche crest on the nose. Final fault scan at the dealership. He takes the car to the Porsche dealer for their engineers to inspect the rebuild accuracy. They hook up their factory diagnostic system and check everything. From underneath, a brake line with a fitting that isn't fully seated. Nothing serious, a minor torque issue. A few small clips missed in specific areas. Engineers note some refinements, but nothing structural. He walks through the Porsche showroom, a modified Cayenne GT, a Carrera GT, high-performance race variants. He takes his time. Last thing before leaving, GT3 badge fitted to the rear. Alignment. All four corners need proper geometry setup. The tire needs to sit centered exactly in the arch. Damper heights adjusted by the millimeter at every corner. Laser alignment equipment used. Additional settings available specifically for track spec configurations. Done. Track day, Miami. Matt drives the GT3 to an exclusive car club in Miami. On the circuit, one of the fastest Porsches ever built. Rain falls on the track surface. He goes out and pushes it. The manual 6-speed gearbox. Different from the 7-speed PDK automatic. Delivers a completely different experience. The feeling of rowing through the gears yourself in a car like this is another level entirely. At one point on the straight, a 2022 Aston Martin DBS pulls up alongside, also V12, also manual, matched power output. They keep going and going. Put yourself in that situation. A straight, 2 race cars, no rules. What would make you stop? After the session, oil level drops slightly. He adds a full liter. The GT3's flat 6 can drink oil at high revs. That's expected. The final drive, back to where it all began. Matt fuels up, then drives 3 hours to the same location where Adam crashed this car. A mountain switchback road. He reaches out to Adam to invite him to the final scene. Adam declines. The memories of this place aren't ones he wants to revisit. Matt drives the car down the mountain road alone. Just him, the purple GT3, and the flat 6 singing at 9,000 revolutions per minute. 2,000 kilometers added to the odometer post-rebuild. He admits he had no plan for what happened after he finished it. The emotion of this one hit differently. The numbers. Total cost, including the purchase price. $2,100,000. Rebuild time. 4 months. Flights between England and America. 3. In the end, Matt sells the car to Tavarish, the same person who helped him buy it at the beginning, at whose garage the entire build happened, and whose connections in the industry saved weeks of time and thousands of dollars throughout the process. Everyone who touched this car during the rebuild walked away happy. We hope you did too. Subscribe to Aboyos and leave a comment. What car should we take on next?